Boys and girls, it is FM24 launch weekend, which can mean only one thing. I've holidayed 100 years forward in Football Manager, and we're going to have a little route through to see what's going to be going on over the next century or so. And we are going to be starting things off, as is tradition, in the Premier League, which, as you can see, has been won by Manchester City, so... Video over, let's all move on, like and subscribe on the way out, etc, etc. Nothing changes in 100 years. Although, to be fair, Manchester City aside, the rest of the Premier League looks a little bit different to what you'd expect. Man United as one of the top four, for example. I know they're in the Champions League this year. They won the Premier League last year. That's bonkers. But the rest, there are a few unexpected teams here. Just a few. The fact that we've got Birmingham and Yeovil, Leyton Orient, Colchester, Bradford, all in the top 10 in the Premier League. Mansfield, Altrincham, Luton. I mean, I know they're there in real life. No one really expects them to be there in 100 years, though, surely. Arsenal down in the lower mid-table. Portsmouth. Kings Lynn in the Premier League. A former non-league to legend starting club. This one I find particularly interesting because, I mean, that's a pretty good showing for Kings Lynn, isn't it? They made it into the Football League in the 2050s and have just had a slow progression since then, working through League One, League Two. They always have a couple of promotions and relegations before settling in a league, but they had a long run in the Championship, actually dropped back down to League One and even League Two temporarily there, and another season back in League Two there. But it looks like in fairly recent years, they have stormed on League One into the Championship, about 10 years in the Championship, and for the last 3 years have been a Premier League team. They surely are playing at a big boy ground now. They are not. They are still playing at the Walks in the Premier League, but with a capacity of only 8,000. I mean, that's interesting. That is interesting that Kings Lynn are a Premier League football club. Hull, Sunderland and Stockport rounding out the rest of the top division. Let's have a look through the other leagues as well to see where everything is sitting in 100 years. We'll have a look through previous winners and other competitions as well. I've got all of the major leagues loaded, so we've got a few bits to look forward to, but let's have a look through the Premier League first. The English leagues. We've just done this is the Championship. Excuse me for confusing it with the Premier League, because Liverpool are in it. A top three of Chester, Woking, Liverpool. Imagine the local rivalry between Chester and Liverpool as they were both going for promotion to the Premier League at the same time. It would have been phenomenal. And we're looking for any teams in unexpected places. Both Liverpool and Everton, both in the Championship, is interesting. Chelsea down there in 19th place as well, in a bit of a relegation battle to avoid dropping down to League One. Again, local rivalries travelling together. We've got Chelsea and Fulham in the same league, Liverpool and Everton in the same league. And none of those leagues that I'm talking about are the Premier League. Leeds getting relegated from the Championship. Poor old Leeds. And then if we move down to League One and see what's going on down here, I mean, I don't know, it looks quite League One-y to me. Obviously, there's a few teams you wouldn't expect to be there, that top three, top four even. I mean, Ipswich were down there last year. All of these teams have spent time in League One, maybe with the exception of Preston. I don't remember them being in League One any time recently. Maidstone being up there is unexpected, I guess. Eastleigh, Sutton, Barrow. So there's a few of the smaller teams. Northampton somehow still clinging on to life in League One 100 years later. And Bolton, Blackburn, Stoke, Charlton, 4 former Premier League teams all getting relegated down into League Two in this season. And then if we have a look at League Two, it's interesting that in pretty much every league, it seems to be the team that finished highest in the league is winning the playoffs. Unless playoffs, I mean, that must just be a coincidence, but Liverpool winning the playoffs in the Championship after finishing third. You then got Southampton winning them in League One after finishing third. And then in League Two, you have Harrogate winning the playoffs after finishing fourth. Coincidence? I guess. Another swathe of former Premier League clubs in there as well. Forest, Palace, Norwich, Blackpool, Wigan. There's quite a lot of former Premier League down here in League Two. St Albans, another former non-league to legend starting team. Burnley down in League Two as well. And Walsall and Cheltenham getting relegated down into non-league. And if we have a look at what's going on in the National League, Cambridge down where they belong. Posh are down here too. That's unfortunate. As are Huddersfield, which is quite the drop for Huddersfield. Is there any stray Premier League teams? Let me know down in the comments if I've missed, if there's a Premier League team we should have seen by now that we haven't seen that might have tumbled out of the whole thing. I always miss some because I'm looking at this for the first time as I'm making the video, so I'm bound to miss some stuff. Leicester being all the way down here, trying to avoid relegation out of the National League is an interesting one. What has gone on with Leicester? They've just had a terrible time. They did briefly make it back to the Premier League about 60 or 70 years ago, but other than that, Leicester are done. Leicester are... I was so focused on Leicester. I didn't notice this. Oh, it's so Spursy. Of all the teams that could have had a dramatic collapse... I mean, they've been non-league for years. They were down in the National League South. Oh, Tottenham, you silly bears. What are you doing down there? Goodness me. Oh, that is a shame. Let's... Hi, Spurs fans. My word, look at some of the points totals here, by the way. Rotherham, 121 points. Not enough to get them promoted out of the National League North. Port Vale, 113 points in 5th place. Chorley and Nuneaton, both getting 90 points. And it's not even enough to get them into the playoffs. In fact, Scarborough's 96 wouldn't have been enough. What a bonkers league that is. I don't know that I've heard of Needham Market before. But no other Premier League teams or former non-league to legends. I guess we had Kettering down there. And then let's look at the National League South as well, see if we've got any other Tottenham-shaped surprises. I don't think we have. Spurs. I mean, that is genuinely terrific that Spurs are the ones who've been the most Spursy. If we look at the past winners of the Premier League then, if we go back to the present day and see... So actually, Football Manager thinking Arsenal are going to win the league this year in... I was going to say in real life, in this simulation, but it looks very much like it's Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, then Arsenal some more, Man City some more, Liverpool some more. There's definitely 3 teams in with a chance. In fact, there's only 3 teams that win the Premier League for the next 30 years until Watford break the cycle in 2050. But Arsenal, Man City... kind of sharing quite a lot between them. Liverpool picking up 1 or 2 here and there. And then once Watford do get their win, it goes straight back to Liverpool, Man City again. Then we get Bournemouth with a couple of years. Newcastle finally winning one in 2064. But then it's back to Man City again. Newcastle. It's a lot of the same teams cycling back through. Man United finally winning one in 2078, and then they do win a few more. It looks like Man United are kind of back now. Bournemouth showing up again in there as well. Bournemouth seem to be quite the team. Watford again popping up with another one as well. Newcastle won, what's that, 7 in a row? Fairly recently. 9 of 11 there. 10 of the last 14. Newcastle are quite good. If we look at the records, I think it will show it. So most times one is now 52 for Manchester City. But yeah, that is some interesting. There's the lowest attendance in the Premier. This is the lowest Premier League attendance ever. Kings Lynn versus Altrincham on the 2nd of December 21-22. So just last year, 259 people turned up for a Premier League game. I guess everyone's just sat at home watching it on streaming services, are they? Is that what's become of football in the future? So let's jump over to Spain, and while we're just perusing the current La Liga top flight, so you can tell me who's missing from there, because you lot almost certainly know more about La Liga than I do. Don't forget, if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. If we get enough people enjoying, liking this video, if it gets the support, ultimately, if it gets the views, we'll keep going. We got all the way through to 1,000 years in the future last year over the course of 3 or 4 videos because people just kept loving the series. So let me know if you want to see us go further on as well, and make sure you subscribed with your notifications on so you don't miss those videos when they appear. But yeah, La Liga won by Barcelona, and Real Madrid are in the top 3. Not much change. I mean, Atletico's still up there as well. I mean, we could look at the past winners. And it's pretty sad, to be honest. There's no surprising teams on there. It's largely Real Madrid. Barcelona actually haven't won very many. Villarreal have won more than Barcelona over that little period of time. But are they really the only three? I'm not seeing anyone outside of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Villarreal. Oh, Mirandes. Okay, I don't know who Mirandes are. So I guess that's a good one. They've come from nowhere, really. Done a little bit of a road to glory, making their way all the way. I mean, they did have some periods when they were outside of playable leagues, but then have made it all the way up to the first division, up to the Liga, where they've been for a long time. And they're one of the big teams. They've only won it once during that period, but they've been perennial top 6 team throughout all of that. But yeah, otherwise it is just Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid have won it so many times. Go to the records. 104 La Liga wins for Real Madrid is frankly absurd. What is also absurd is the tiny little attendance we've got there. Again, 239, similarly low to the one that we had in the Premier League. We also get some massive attendance as well. Nearly 100,000 people watching Barcelona versus Espanyol in 2026, nearly 100 years ago at this point, and now we're setting records for lowest attendances, although the highest average attendance Barcelona set in 2087. So football's not completely disappearing from being a live spectator sport. But let's head on to our next nation. So we've got, in fact, the Bundesliga is licensed, isn't it? So we can just look at Bundesliga. There we go. So Bundesliga, I am immediately not seeing Bayern Munich. Okay, now things are happening. So Bochum winning Bundesliga. Borussia Dortmund are up there. There is, oh no, there's Bayern Munich, FC Bayern. There they are. I was looking for Bayern Munich rather than rookie mistake, but to see them all the way down there is interesting. You would expect them to dominate, and they absolutely haven't been. In fact, they've spent a number of years down in the second division, and it looks like it's been a long time since Bayern Munich were competitive, which is very, very interesting. If we have a look at the past winners over here, it's quite the mix. It actually looks like, in the future, Bundesliga, most interesting league we've found so far, because in the last 5 years, there's been 5 different winners in Bundesliga. Last 6 different. Last 7 years, there have been 7 different winners of the Bundesliga. What major league could say that ever anymore? That what a league to be able to go and watch. Not only different winners each year, you're getting different runners up, different third places. There's very little repeat customers within the top 3 of Bundesliga over the last 7 years. That is bonkers. You're not really getting any periods of dominance from anybody, and there's just these teams popping up I've never heard of. Who on earth are Regensburg? They are... I mean, there you go. Confirmation they exist. So I know nothing about German football. They are actually in the second division, having come up from the regional leagues relatively recently. So I think I can be excused as someone who doesn't watch second-tier German football. They very much have been in the regional leagues for most of their history. But over the last 100 years or so, have become fairly established in Bundesliga and have won it a few times. So that's awesome. Bundesliga looks like a lot of fun. It looked like Bayern Munich did dominate it for the first 50 years or so. I mean, Germany is getting their reward for having to live through this. Obviously, in reality, we've lived through that. But it carried on. There was like 30 years of Bayern Munich, 40 years of Bayern Munich winning it most years. But now they've had 40 years of them not really getting anywhere near it. So I don't know. Is that a price worth paying? If you have a look at who's won it the most times, it is still Bayern Munich, but it's certainly been shared around a lot more than you would expect. And the attendance records, neither of them have been set during the course of the save. They have a legitimate 827 from 1966, which is interesting. They do have the highest average attendance record I've seen so far. They're from 2105. Bayern Munich averaging 116,840 people. That is their average, which I do have a question to raise. If the highest attendance ever was 88,000, how is their average attendance 116,000? That calls everything into question. Let's pretend we never saw that and head over to Italy and see what's going on in Serie A. I've just noticed as well on here, La Liga. Oh, La Liga are down in 7th place on the league rankings. The Scottish Premiership is the 5th biggest league. One moment. What's going on in Scotland? Arbroath, Edinburgh City, Raith Rovers, Rangers and Celtic have been relegated. I mean, there's Scotland for you. Edinburgh City, absolutely relentlessly dominant from 2085 through to 2109. Aberdeen got it for a year, then Edinburgh winning it again for a couple more. What is a Formartine? I've never heard of them. Where are they in real life? In the Highland League. So they didn't appear in League 2 until 2057 and have now won multiple premierships in a row, like 6. I mean, what a road to glory that is. 4-man team United. Lovely old stuff. But Edinburgh City, absolutely dominant. Rangers and Celtic have just fallen off completely. Rangers still most times won with 69. Q Celtic fans in the comments telling me that I don't want to hear it. This is why I don't manage Rangers or Celtic ever. But that is mad, the fact that Rangers and Celtic have both collapsed. But let's go back to Italy, where we're supposed to be. So Empoli winning Serie A. AC Milan are right up there, challenge as well, as are Inter. I'm looking for Juventus. Juventus are there as well. It looks like everyone you would expect to be around and about the place are around and about the place. What I'm not seeing is a recent Juventus title win. You've got, I mean, lots of these are familiar names. Obviously, some of them are silly football manager names. I haven't got the real name fix on yet. But there's no one who's appearing on there that I've never heard of, unlike in some of these other countries. Looks like Inter have had a jolly nice time of things. Most winners, is Inter with 77, as you would expect based on what we saw, just flicking through that. And then I guess we'll check France. It's usually depressing because it's usually Paris Saint-Germain, but let's hope something went wrong. Nope, there they are. Paris Saint-Germain have won Ligue 1, easy peasy. Did Mbappe leave? Probably at some point. Is it just them always and forever? Oh, what a horrible thing. Poor old France. You've got a century of this to look forward to. Paris Saint-Germain now having won it 76 times. Right, let's check the UEFA competitions. So Champions League up first. If you're interested in who's going to win the Champions League this year in real life, it is Inter. And in fact, Inter being pretty dominant over the next 10 years or so. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City. We're looking for the first unexpected winner. PSG winning a few there as well. We want the first weird name. I mean, you can see from the top that there's definitely a weird one coming because the current holders are Bournemouth and they won it at the Robin van Persie Arena, both of which are excellent. But when did we get the first weird winner? I mean, Arsenal was a fairly unexpected one. 2041, Arsenal win the Champions League finally. Real Madrid winning loads in a row, just like Real Madrid do. Spezia, I guess that's the weirdest one so far. It's probably not pronounced Spezia either. Spezia, no idea. Let me know down in the comments. So there's, oh, hello. Bournemouth have won this more than once. Bournemouth winning it for the first time in 2057. They were runners up to Real Madrid in 2059. That was like 60 years ago, and they're the holders now. Are Bournemouth like a big club and have been forever? That's madness. Lots of Paris Saint-Germain. Have they won more than Real Madrid at this point? That would be, I mean, Liverpool winning. Blimey, Liverpool, goodness me. They just like the 70s in general, don't they? Doesn't matter the century. Liverpool really enjoy the 70s. 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 79. What a decade for Liverpool in the Champions League. And again in 82, Paris Saint-Germain with a few more. There's a couple of the weird ones are starting to come in. Arsenal again picking one up, another weird one. There's a few French teams winning this, actually. It's not just Paris Saint-Germain. It looks like they've dragged up the whole of France with them. So there's quite a few French teams picking up these wins. Galatasaray doing really rather well as well. Man United with a couple. I think that's their first in about 100 years. Watford winning the Champions League. And then Villarreal, Newcastle. And then Bournemouth once again. So who's the record? Real Madrid, the record with 29 wins. Paris Saint-Germain can't be very far behind. It would be interesting when we do the next one of these videos, assuming we get enough likes, just how far Paris Saint-Germain pull ahead, because I expect they probably will because they're so dominant. I just want to see Bournemouth's trophy cabinet because they seem to have done all right. So Bournemouth, 2 Champions League wins, 3 Premier League wins, 8 FA Cups, 11 Europa Leagues. Bit of a spoiler for what we're about to see next. 5 European Super Cups, a Conference League. 3, I mean, would you take that, Bournemouth fans? You probably would. What is the European South American Club Challenge? What on earth is this? I mean, it's a thing that exists because we've got... Is this a thing in real life? We've got all these past winners. When did this start? 2023. Is it a new thing this year? Well, there we go. There's your past winners of that thing that I didn't know existed. Let's look at the Europa League. Europa League currently held by Puskas Academia. Is that the team that play at Stratford Bus Station? My Twitch viewers know what I'm talking about. I think it is, though. The Puskas Academy. Wow. Bradford, you're going to get some weird winners now. Obviously, we know Bournemouth win this plenty of times. It's fairly dominated by English teams. Woking beating Watford in the final of the Europa League in 2105. That is a final I want to find a way to try and be at. I don't even know where QRM are from. It's another French team. So many French teams doing well in Europe, which is absolutely covered in them. Lot more. I mean, Bournemouth, Sunderland picking one up as well. We got anyone else exciting in here as we get closer to modern times? Lazio are winning it this year, boys and girls. In case you are wondering, let's look at that's not how you spell UEFA. Let's look at the Conference League as well. The big one, the one everybody wants. Current holders are Roma, past winners, starting from now. So Villa are going to win that this year. I think that's probably to be expected, isn't it? Spurs win it at some point. Before tumbling down into non-league, they do get a Conference League win. So they get their trophy and then they fall down into the non-league. So I think, would you make that trade at this point, Spurs fans? You probably would. It's just the novelty of having a trophy is worth going into non-league for, isn't it? Hull winning this. Sunderland have been on a couple of these. This Luton winning a European trophy as well. Obviously, I'm picking out the English teams because they're the ones that I immediately recognise as being out of place. Edinburgh City, who, of course, we've just seen dominate in Scotland. Leyton Orient winning the Conference League as well. Bonkers. So let's round things off then with some international trophies and some player stuff as well. Starting with the World Cup. Next World Cup, 2026, going to be won by the Netherlands. Then you've got Spain, England, Denmark, Belgium, Croatia, 3 in a row for Spain before Uruguay pick one up, and then it's back to Spain. England winning again in 2074. France, Belgium, Argentina, France again. France are dominant. England, 2098. Looks like the next century is going to be a better one, or this century is a better one for England than the last one when it comes to winning World Cups. USA finally winning one in 2110. Portugal, Netherlands, and then England are the current holders. So most times winners is Spain with 7. Did Brazil were nowhere on that list, were they? Oh, no, they were. They only won 1. Wow. 100 years of just one World Cup being won by Brazil seems bonkers. European Championship, is that what it's called? There you go. Wow, England are holders of this as well. England are all right, aren't they? So Wales won it as well. So England, Wales, England. I guess we should be starting from the bottom. So Netherlands are going to hold both at the same time, which England are currently 100 years in the future, but Netherlands are going to do it by winning the Euros this coming summer and then the World Cup 2 summers later. Then Spain, Portugal, Turkey, Spain, Croatia winning 2 out of 3 there. England picking one up in 2060, and then 3 in a row for England in the 80s. England all about the 80s, 80s all about England. A couple more for England there as well before Wales, and then England. England must be most times winners, surely. Yeah, 7 times winners, England. So the Euros is going to be England's tournament over the course of the next 100 years. Lovely stuff. Right, is there any way I'm going to be able to see Ballon d'Or winners? Because it's not called that, is it? World Player of the Year. Is that what the Ballon d'Or is? Obviously, once we get into new gen territory, it's meaningless. What I'm really interested in is who's winning it in the near future. So we get Mbappe, Rodrigo, Mbappe, Yeremy Pino, Lautaro Martinez, Yamal, Vinicius. I mean, he wins it a lot. Bukayo Saka winning it in 2034. Lamine Yamal. I mean, how many times has he won that? So he's won World Cup Best Player, World Cup. Is he the young lad who was playing for Barcelona? I feel like I'm aware that he exists. I don't really know much about Wonder Kids and stuff like that. I try to avoid knowing who they are because it taints Football Manager for me. Because I don't want to know. But I now know this guy quite good. He's won quite a lot of things. Both with Barcelona and then most of his career at Manchester City. And that, boys and girls, I think brings us to the end of this exploration of the future, the next 100 years or so of football, according to Football Manager 2024. Like I said at the start, if you want to see us go a little bit further, maybe like 200, 250 years, make sure you leave a thumbs up on this video. Let me know down in the comments as well. Any other stuff you'd like me to check out in these videos, if there's stuff that I've missed, or if there was any particularly interesting things that you noticed that I haven't mentioned in the video, chances are I probably didn't notice them. But if you have enjoyed it, please leave that thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you don't miss out on the next one. And of course, all the other Football Manager 2024 content coming out on the channel over the course of this launch period. If you've not bought the game yet, my link is down at the top of the description as well for a nice little discount. And thank you very much for watching.